Hey everybody, so I read a few articles about what's going on in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Brazil recently elected a new president, Jair Bolsonaro, and he took office in January, and he promised to undo all the regulations that have been protecting the Amazon for the last couple decades, and he's been doing so. So here's a few things I read. First of all, the Amazon basin contains 40% of the Earth's rainforest and 10 to 15% of the world's terrestrial species. Brazil's president, first of all, in the last 50 years, 17% of the rainforest has been lost. Bolsonaro, the president, has let rules breakers know that they can do whatever they want. 70 to 80% of logging in the Amazon is illegal, and since he took office in January, trees have been disappearing at the rate of 2 Manhattans per week. The Amazon recycles a lot of its own water, but this occurs at a lesser and lesser rate as time goes on. Normally 50% of the water gets recycled, back into rain, but as it gets deforested, that rate goes down. Brazil's output of soybeans and beef rose between 2004 and 2012, while at the same time forest clearing slowed by 80%. So again, in that 8-year period, their agricultural production was actually going up, while at the same time deforestation went down 80%. That shows if you have a plan and do it right and efficiently, you can have the best of both worlds. But Bolsonaro, the current president, is kind of messing things up. Brazil's Congress in 2012, under the previous president, President Dilma Rousseff, passed a new forest code that gave amnesty to anyone who was involved in illegal deforestation before 2008. The environmental protection industry, or the environmental ministry's budget, was dramatically cut during the 2014 and 2016 recession. Between August of 2017 and July of 2018, Brazil lost 7,900 square kilometers of Amazon forest, which is almost 1 billion trees. The president and his son, Senator Flavio Bolsonaro, have had their attempts at abolishing the environmental ministry blocked. 21 of the 27 state heads of the environmental ministry were fired shortly after Bolsonaro took office. In July, more than 1,800 square kilometers were cleared, which is 3 times more than last year. When forest is converted to pasture land, it increases land temperatures by 4.3% because the protection's gone, and then that extra heat heats up the nearby trees, and then it makes them more brittle and it makes them more susceptible to blowing over in windstorms. Plus, they aren't really recycling water because they're too hot to recycle water. So the whole recycling thing in the Amazon is getting broken up. Now that recycling is known as the air conditioning effect, which is provided by water evaporation from the leaves of trees. Half of the forest rainfall is from the forest recycling water. Rainwater is pulled up from the roots to the canopy, where it gets released back into the atmosphere to fall as rain again. The dry season started lengthening back in the 1970s, and now the rains don't come until November when they used to come in October. A New York Times article by Leticia Casado and Ernesto Londano, in this article they said protecting the Amazon used to be priority number 1 in Brazil, and it was for the last 2 decades. And I looked at a chart, and the deforestation rate dropped dramatically, and in the last 15 years it was really cut back. But Bolsonaro is basically undoing all those regulations, and it's really starting to jump back up now. President Bolsonaro has been fined personally himself for violating EPA rules. Since he became president in January, over 1,330 square miles of forest cover has disappeared, and that's a 39% increase over the same time frame last year. 8 former environmental ministers of Brazil have written a letter, and in it they say, "We're facing the risk of runaway deforestation in the Amazon. Brazil needs to strengthen its environmental protection measures, not weaken them." Bolsonaro has denounced environmental fines as an industry that needs to be shut down, and he has promised to do just that. He has promised to do away with the remaining barriers to developing protected lands. So, bottom line is, you got to do these things responsibly, and they have been. And Brazil made a lot of progress in the last 2 decades because they've been building dams for power generation and roads and other things, and a lot of that's needed. You got to progress in this world, but at the same time the rate of deforestation dropped dramatically. So like I say, you can have best of both worlds, but Bolsonaro, the current president, is just gone nuts, and he's just undoing all of it, and so it's not going to be sustainable for the long term if he keeps doing this. So anyways, love to hear what you all think, and have a good day.